Well, hello, y'all. Happy Tuesday night. I'm so sorry I'm late with this recap. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I had first, before I get into my weekend, let me just go ahead and do the housekeeping stuff. First of all, thank you so much for stumbling across my channel and showing me love. It's your girl D Green 2.0. And please, if you find value in the content, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell once you do subscribe. And speaking of subscribe, I actually got a new subscriber over the weekend. I'm going to shout them out. Miss CJQ. I appreciate you, girl. Thank you so much for showing me love. That's how I grow. That's how I grow. That's how we grow. So if you get a follow back if they have a channel that enables you to do that. So that's all I wanted to share in terms of that. But running behind for a couple of reasons. So I'll get the good stuff out of the way on why I'm running behind. I had a freaking amazing weekend, y'all. I mean, amazing. It was something I needed like for a long time, and it just helped me with just kind of centering myself. I've been operating at a high state of functional anxiety and stress, and while it keeps me on my toes, it's kind of like been draining me a little bit over the years. I mean, over the year, I'm saying it like years, like it's been handling, but this has been a rough year. And so this weekend, I was able to just kind of finally have like the clarity I needed in a lot of areas, and the ability to actually sit and center myself and have conversations with myself on what my next move should be with certain things going on in my life. And so this weekend I was able to just unwind, unpack a lot. I had a great time with someone. It was amazing. I was honestly not expecting it to be such a great weekend. But God, I needed that. And I thank God for all my experiences. So that's a good reason, right? I got to eat some good food, be amongst some good company, have some fun. But with that, I wasn't in a rush once I watched the episode to recap it, because quite frankly, I'm getting frustrated. And for the sake of continuity, I'm going to continue to recap this season. But I will tell you, this season is starting to work on my nerve. Now, before I start recapping, because they're going to run my pressure a little bit as I'm talking, let me show y'all what I bought myself for Christmas. So I am, like I said, I'm trying to be more centered and focused on things that matter. And you've probably heard me mention that before in a few of the recaps. Once you grow more mature in your life, you start to really focus and pay attention to what really matters. And for me, being aligned internally, being at peace, just being centered is very important. So I got myself this. It's a Zen sound bowl. And when I tell you, there's something about those sounds and the frequency that does something to you. I'm going to give you a demonstration before I get into the recap. But I do this for myself, and I'm increasing on the time each day. So first I started with like 1 minute, then 2 minutes, now I'm up to 5 minutes, and you don't even keep track of like how long it's going. I just set a timer. Each chime resonates for about 10 seconds or so. So every 10 seconds, you just hit the bowl and then you hear that beautiful sound, and it just does something for you. Let me give you a demonstration, okay? All right. Man, when I tell you that does wonders. And people use this bowl different ways. I'm still learning, all the ways, but that way right there, oh my God. Wonders. I needed it. I needed it after this weekend for sure. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're almost at the 5-minute mark to recap this crapshoot of a show. Real Housewives of Potomac, season 10, episode 11. Title of this episode was called Lease is Up, Giddy Up, or something like that. The frustration I have is it's the dog and pony show that they've allowed to run amok, being Giselle and her shenanigans, right? Now, I have grown to learn her and just accept her for who she is. You know, I was willing to give her a chance top of this season, you know, to just be, because, you know, she's doing all of this on her own. Well, I wouldn't say on her own. She has Ashley as a backup, but there's no Karen, right? So there's no Karen to kind of bring in that balance of it not just being so immature in its mess. This is immature mess. You can tell that Giselle peaked in college when she was in her sorority and where she was thriving as whatever line sister, if she was a lead line sister, whatever. And that's where she's been stuck, because the mindset she has when it comes to her relationship with women, maybe as a girlfriend, a wife, a mother, Giselle is, you know, the best of the best. I mean, it does show in her daughters. Her daughters are doing pretty good. All of them are HBCU college attendees. One just pledged. I mean, she's doing a good job on the home front with her kids. But when it comes to her presence in a group with other women, that shit has peaked. And it's irritating the fuck out of me. And Angel's not really helping her case either. Shout out to you, Brooke Ashley, one of my favorite YouTubers, by the way. She actually had an interview with Angel last week, and Angel was able to kind of give us some questions on certain things that the audience members just weren't connecting, i.e. her, you know, giving more smoke to Wendy versus Giselle, the delayed response, coming off kind of as a colorist. Like, she touched on all of that. However, I'm going to need you to, you could sit down with one of the best YouTubers ever, answer questions, you know, express your stance on colorism. But unless you do what you need to do to show up for yourself in this group, forget Kiarna. Forget the implied alliance that Giselle wants you guys to act on. Forget any of that, okay? Gloves should be off at this stage in the game. The coup de grace that Giselle and Ashley are pulling on you with Wendy helping, and Wendy, I'm gonna get on you too, because this is ridiculous. But all the things that they're doing to you, Angel, I don't know. I can't even say you should catch that and change, because something tells me it's going to be the same thing, because I just can't sit here and be comfortable watching someone be sunned by these women when they are so established in their own right. I even think Angel, when it comes to finances, because that was discussed this episode, I even think Angel's kind of leading on that. I think her husband and her actually have the most money out of the cast. Like, they're actual, like, millionaires with money sitting. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get started. This probably ain't gonna be long. I took 4 pages of notes, but my heart, as y'all can tell, my heart's not in it. So anyway, yeah, it's called Lease is Up, Giddy Up. First thing, we start with Tia and her family at her home. Tia's place of employment, they sponsor a polo event, an all-women's polo event. And so Tia figured this would be a good chance for the women to, you know, this is her hosting her event, essentially. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to invite the women. My colleagues are going to be there, so I need to be mindful of who I invite. So this is why you don't see Stacy there, which, not so much on how Stacy acts, because Stacy, if anybody, I would choose to invite Stacy over Kiarna. Kiarna was in attendance, but we know what happened last week. Stacy threw Tia out. So I get you, Tia. Don't invite her. You know, it is what it is. So Tia mentions how she's got, I think it was her brother or her cousin. No, she said her cousin was a regular, like, professional series polo player, because it was a part of her lifestyle growing up, you know, because she comes from money. But her brother is in town. I forget what his name was, visiting, you know, and he's going to attend the event with the ladies. So he's going to be her additional guest. Let's see. Colleagues and contracts. Yeah. So they get to a point where they're discussing why Stacy is not coming, and then Tia makes a reference to Stacy's web of lies, and now she's caught in them. This is why she's not inviting her. That's one of the reasons why she's not inviting her, in addition to her being put out. And then I appreciate Jossie saying, I'm gonna need y'all to tell me, give me more like reason on why my girl is a liar. So Jossie was trying to stand her ground and take up for Stacy in the scene. But of course, they don't want that, because they want Jossie to see Stacy in a certain way. I think it was Ashley who told Jossie, actually. She said, did you know that Stacy wasn't going to attend your wedding until she knew Wendy and I were going? Now, I can't lie. Part of me thinks that to be true, if I'm being honest. I'm sorry, Stacy, I like you, but the math ain't mathin'. You could have gone to that wedding as a guest the same way that you did when she asked you beforehand. You didn't say, I can't remember if she told us that instead of participating in the wedding, she was going to opt to just attend the wedding. But we do know that Stacy was extended an invite prior to her finding out about Wendy and Ashley going. So the fact that now all of a sudden you can go, I mean, the evidence leads credence to that statement. So I want to see how this is going to play out in the season, because like I said, part of me believes that. I do. I don't want to about Stacy, but it is what it is. You didn't go to the wedding or decide to go until you were told Ashley and Wendy were going. At least that's how they're making it look on the show. So we'll see. So anyway, so they're talking about how Tia was asked to provide a singer to sing the national anthem at this event. They flash back to the scene where all the ladies were at Angel's house after Giselle's 10 million download event, when they all showed up empty-handed, and was bashing other girls. So Tia's asking Angel, because apparently Angel is a trained opera singer. We didn't get a chance to learn that, because she has been fighting Kiarna's battles and been kind of in autopilot the whole time she's been on the show. So we didn't even get a chance to learn that about her. But kudos to you, girl. So in said scene, same scene, when Tia's asking Angel, Ashley's like, why didn't you invite me? Tia looks like, it's like, Ashley, girl, the delusion is admirable. It's admirable. I admire it. What makes you think that your voice qualifies you to sing the national anthem? So anyway, so then for some reason at the event, Wendy is the person that's going to be the, what do you call them? The maestros, the people, the conductors, the ones that, choir director or whatever, I don't know. And Giselle says at one point, she's like looking around, she's like, I don't think these people have ever seen black women, because there weren't that many black people there other than the cast. It was actually a predominantly white event. And so Giselle's like, well, why don't we sing our national anthem, the black national anthem? Tell me why, and this is going to help me with my point later. Because how dare you, Ashley? Tell me why Ashley didn't fucking know there was a black national anthem. Oh my God, Ashley, like, I look at Ashley sometimes and I'm like, she's so intelligent, given the things that she's gone through and how she shaped her life. Then there's these small instances where I'm like, this girl is fucking clueless. And then for her to have the nerve to not know, but then have such an affinity towards a well-crafted potato salad to the point where you can critique someone, that was funny to me. That was so funny. I'll talk about that later. So anyway, so they're all singing, and Tia says she had her back turned to the crowd. She didn't even bother to look, and I was like, I wouldn't either. I'd be so embarrassed, because they look like they sounded okay, but we don't know what that energy was like, in the moment. So we're just seeing an edited playback of the event. And then let me see. Oh, and then Wendy also, since there's mostly white people there and then older people, Wendy's like, I'm excited because Ashley might find her next husband here. Because they know what type of time Ashley's on. She don't want to be with like somebody like Josh or Wale. She wants her next sugar daddy in the form of a sugar. All right, so then there's a scene of stomping the divots. I don't know what exactly that is, but I guess it requires you to like step on some things on the lawn, and then the girls are like, no, why would we do that? We're all dressed nice and there's a lot of poop out there, which I wouldn't do that either. I don't care how symbolic it is in relation to the event. I'm not going to do it if my outfit is not accommodating me to do that, unless you've got some things for me to cover up my shoes or maybe a smock I could put on. I mean, yeah, but if not, no. All right, so then in the confessional, and this pains me, Jossie saying she never before, found a reason to question Stacey because of their history, but now she's wondering, should I be questioning her friendship? Because, I mean, that does, minimum wage review, that does raise a point for me. Like, should I? So, I don't know. Let's see. We got her Thursday Ashley speech. Oh, okay. So then this part. So Ashley is talking about like trust in the group and bonding or whatever, and so she goes into this whole soliloquy, like this monologue of talking about how, the group, blah, 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 opportunities to get close, blah, blah, blah. And then now Angel's the new target, says to Angel, like, Angel, this would have been a good opportunity for you to do all of that. And then I forget who asked, oh, did she not do that? And Ashley's like, no, she didn't. I thought she was going to say, yeah, but no, now it's your turn, Angel. Which, I'm like, dang, like, it's just pathetic. So, I appreciate, actually, no, let me take that back. Angel, now the clownery has come back on you because you were so quick to attempt to gang up on Stacey with Giselle and Ashley earlier in the season, talking about her breath, when that didn't even, that wasn't necessary from you, especially when we find out later that Stacey extended an olive branch to you to try to get to know you outside of the group, and you never answered her. So now, and that was episode 2, where the whole Breathman thing came out. We're in episode 11. Now you're about to see how it feels. And that's what pains me, because, again, Angel, you said you were not a rookie woman, and you are so operating like a rookie woman right now. So I'm like, man, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. So, we go to the next scene because I was frustrated with that. Next thing, Angel is packing up because she has to move back to Colorado. This is what irritates me because it's so freaking immature and pointless to try to use as a storyline. This is how much they are grasping for straws, okay? We are all mature adults, right? Well, we should all be mature adults, okay, who are cultured enough to at some point, and well off enough to at some point, have used a Airbnb, a VRBO, a hotel, whatever, right? So Angel's packing up. I didn't like how you were trying to make it seem like it was the owner's fault, Angel, because I work in real estate as well. And there's a reason why you do highlight the dates that you need. So the fact that you were trying to make it seem like the owner was responsible for the oversight, no, you just didn't request the dates. But back to the ladies' involvement in this. So they're packing up in the house. Kay walks in. Bobby is obviously annoyed. Kay says that she is shocked. She didn't realize that they had to move. And then that's when Angel makes the overbooked statement. And I put stop it next to that. Like, stop it, Angel. You know they didn't overbook or double book. Your ass just overlooked. You overlooked the dates and didn't pay attention. You didn't factor in the whole... Giselle said something later that made sense, actually. And I'm going to go ahead and say it now because it's related to this. So she says, Giselle, that Angel thought that the show was going to be done filming at a certain time, and it wasn't. So what happens was, I think that they extended their filming, and Angel probably maybe didn't think that she would be a part of that, or maybe didn't know, who knows. But you would think that she would have extended her lease, because I'm sure they gave them enough time. I would hope they gave them enough time. Like, I know how corporate works, so sometimes you do get 24-hour notices. But overall, they would have told you, so that would have given you more time to change your dates, and you didn't. So I didn't like that Angel was trying to shirk the responsibility, but you know. And so Tia comes, and Tia's talking to them about, you know, how she works in real estate, and you know, asked them about their house searching. I thought Angel had actually found a house, because she told them that back in episode, what was it, 8 or 9, that her and Bobby had found a house. Turns out they didn't. So then Tia's, you know, talking about how she works in real estate and blah, blah, blah. And then Angel's like, you know, coming to the defense of the realtor she's working with. And she says, oh, Jessica's good. And then, you know, Tia works for Sotheby's, and I think Jessica works for Zillow, because Bobby let it slip. So then she's like, well, maybe we could tag team it, Tia. And Angel, don't do it. This is not a safe group. This is not a safe space. You're not working with people who think for themselves. You're not working with people who challenge authority. You're not working with people who push back against the status quo when it's wrong. So, meaning, if you were to get involved with Angel, if you, Angel, were to get involved with Tia on your business front, your business would be all out there. Your business would be all out there. I've worked with people like that before, where the leader is messy and people don't know it because it's hidden, and people get what they want out of this leader. And so that same leader, while they're praising you and pushing you up, they're quick to gossip about you too. You know, so it's like, that's Giselle in this case. I wouldn't trust Tia either. Don't work with her. I know that was a mouthful, but yeah, I was like, oh no. So then Tia leaves, and then Giselle calls her, which I thought was very ironic that you called not too long after she leaves. So then Tia's telling Giselle about what happened with Angel. While she didn't frame it as messy as Giselle interpreted it, Angel also wasn't quick to dispel the conclusion that Giselle came to, meaning Angel got evicted. Like, come on. You sat there and you talked with her, Tia. So you know she wasn't evicted. But I didn't see you, like, fighting, like, trying to, like, let her know, like, no, stop saying that, Giselle. That's not what happened. Your ass was shucking and jiving with her, laughing. Oh, I don't. Nah, fuck that dumb shit. You know what's going on, but y'all want to make a show so bad that you are, like, now turning, like, trivial things. And then how all of a sudden did Angel become a target? I thought Stacey was your target. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, with Giselle, it's like she just wants to make a show, and she is nobody's friend. Anyway, so in that same scene, like I said earlier, Giselle is in a confessional saying what she thinks about Angel with the whole, like, you know, she didn't realize how long the show was going to be filming and all of that. And like I said, I kind of understand that. And I did give Giselle that in the confessional. I said, I can't even, like, argue with her logic because it's pointing to that. All right, so next scene, we get Wendy and Eddie with their daughter, Cam. They're at a gymnastics meet. It was Cam's first gymnastics class, and then they were talking about how, talking to us and talking in general, oh, isn't it amazing, like, I'm thinking about when we first took Cruz to karate, Cam was a baby, and that they flashed back to Wendy's first season, which was season 5, and that was exactly what it was. She had just had Cam, and Cruz, who is the second boy, Carter's the oldest. Cruz is the second one, and he was starting karate. He was so cute too. So they're talking. Eddie asked Wendy if she stayed on that construction budget. Wendy says that she did not. She says one of the invoices alone is $100,000, so they've already gone past their budget. I don't know about y'all, but whenever I see them talking about money, it makes me so uncomfortable. It makes me so uncomfortable because of everything that's going on. I'm like, oh my God, production. But they got to keep all that in there for us, you know, authenticity. I'm just like, could y'all have not edited that out? So then they also start talking about their disconnect with their family. So, and how they're working with that. So you have Wendy, who she talked about her father, how her father and her don't have the closest relationship, and how to work towards that. So she's asking Eddie, because Eddie also had distance with his siblings, but they have managed to work it out. And they had talked about this before, but apparently there was some sort of reconciliation last season. Remember, I didn't watch season 9, so I didn't catch it. So they showed a scene of Eddie and his siblings showing up to an event. Wendy hugs them. She gets emotional. So Eddie tells Wendy how he made it work with them, and how they all made it work with each other. But mainly his point of view on this is, once he got rid of the expectations, there was no more room for disappointment, because now he's able to meet them where they are. So they have a group chat where they keep in touch with each other once a month, but he has no expectations. And I was like, I guess with some people you have to do that for true happiness, not lower your expectations, but when it comes to certain things, kind of, I guess, minimize them, because you're just going to be driving yourself crazy to expect them to be something that they can't be for you. However, it's like people want us to believe in them too, right? That they can be the best. So I don't know, I'm going on a tangent, but I get what he's saying. And like, when it comes down to the context of repairing relationships within families, yes, you do have to take people where they are. Where I was going, it was a whole different direction, because I'm one that feels you don't settle all the time. Certain relationships, you make accommodations that are required, but no, you don't settle. You don't take away your expectations. Because then if you don't have expectations of people, then how will people know how to treat you? Like I said, different context. So, all right. So that was the end of that scene. Basically, meet them where they are. No expectations. All right. So now we have Stacy and Kiarna meeting up. This is a good scene. So they're, coming together to discuss their differences, because we've seen the tension between the two of them. In the confessional, Stacy says, Michelle Obama has this saying, when they go low, you go high. And I agree with that. I want to say I'm 97% in that mold, but I'm like I've also said, I'm a little country ghetto. So sometimes I can go where I need to go, in a nice, nasty way though, because I have too much to lose. And then she says, and then you go high so that you could deal with them or whatever. She said, I take a gummy and I go high. I thought that was funny when she said that. All right, so they're all sitting down. Kiarna comes in after Stacy is there first. They compliment each other on their look. They talk about like what their intentions are for this meeting, so they're setting that. And I was watching this scene because I've heard people talk about this. And if you pay attention, it does look like Stacy framed it as if they were going to share an appetizer, right? That's how she framed the question. Because she says, what are we having today? What are you thinking? And then when they ordered drinks, Kiarna ordered a drink first, and then Stacy followed suit, ordered the same drink. So when she's asking, what are you thinking for appetizers? Like I said, she didn't frame it as if she was saying we can order separate appetizers. She framed it as if she was going to order a shareable appetizer. So I understood why Kiarna's like, didn't I just tell this girl I can't eat cheese? Because Stacy said, I never knew that about you. And in that same scene, she tells her she can't eat cheese. Stacy orders the burrata, which is basically like a version of a caprese salad, mozzarella cheese, basil, tomatoes, all that stuff, olives. Well, olives are added into that. Caprese, they don't add olives. So yeah, I understood why Kiarna was like, really? Because it's almost as if Stacy kind of just ignored what she said in that moment. But I get it. Probably nerves, not really taking into consideration that they're going to share an appetizer. So I was going to say communication, y'all. Oh my God. Giving and receiving. If people are not aligned, the message gets lost in translation. It does. That's why I don't believe in that whole common sense statement, because we don't even think the same, let alone convey information the same and receive the same. So how is sense going to be common? People are going to be operating on their own plane of reality and their frequency and their levels of understanding. Just to be fair. You forget you're talking to somebody that's a psych major. So I don't feel like there's a such thing as common sense. I mean, we can glorify the concept, we can, but when you really dig down into the minutia, common sense is not common. Anyway, back to the scene. So they start talking about where their conflict started. So Kiana says that they had a good relationship last season. You know, when they went on their trip, they seemed to get along. And then at the second bloom, was it? No. She said, yeah, at Ashley's second bloom party, that's when things began to take a turn. Now, thank you, Stacey. It's like, no. And people always seem to forget this. Stacey's like, no, let's stay in chronological order. The actual first offense is when we were at Giselle's house and you started calling me fake, phony, and fraud. So then when we go to Ashley's Bloom event, which was, you know, after that, why would I want to go in and say hi to you? Because that's what Kiana tried to broach the conversation with. It started at Ashley's second Bloom party when you snubbed me and didn't say hi. No, there was something that happened before that. So yeah, it's like people know. We can't be talking about point C when we haven't even ironed out A and B yet. There is always an origin. It just depends on, again, your point of view, how you see things, and how you relate the truth and convey the truth, or whatever, how you see life. So I was glad that Stacey brought that up, because even Kiana had to say, oh yeah, okay, I got you. So Kay, she did have a point. Small point, but had you not acted an ass, Kay, this would have stood. So Kay tried to say, okay, I feel like you weaponized my situation, like what happened to me in season 8, the fight or whatever. I mean, yeah, you could say that, Kay, but you are also the one walking around kind of glorifying that you fight at any chance and asserting how aggressive you can be and leading with that. You kind of like to lead with being aggressive. So if you are behaving in that way, right, you've gotten into a fight and then you're coming after me, oh, I'm going to freaking mock the hell out of you. I'm going to talk so bad about you and just make you feel like you're gutter, because that's how you're acting. You're acting gutter. So I'm going to meet you with jokes about you being gutter. So if you don't want people to see you as aggressive, why don't you stop with this? Why don't you stop with this? Why don't you stop with the don't do me? You don't have to respond to every fight that you think is calling you, or respond with every offense with the potential to fight. That's not how ladies behave. Ladies resolve conflict verbally, diplomatically, in a civilized manner. And then if you can't, then you check out. There's no reason for people to get their central nervous system so worked up to iron out conflict. That's not what adults do. And Kiana, you have not been acting like that. This is why Stacey can make fun of you. You like make yourself an easy read because of how you conduct yourself. So I don't know. I was like, all right, Kiana, I would be with you because I get it. I'm of the culture too. They're always wanting us to stifle like where we come from and how we show up in spaces, right? However, if you got behaviors about you that border on aggressive and combative, you can't be mad when people don't want to deal with that. You can't, because the world is not rah-rah. Yeah, it sucks that we do go through our shit and it hardens us to a degree, but the world is not like that. So I was glad that they were able to have a conversation about that, because I know when Stacey said she don't feel safe around Kiana, that's probably what it was. It was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna lose my money. I can't film with this girl. Let me straighten this out. And so they both agreed to respect each other and, like, you know, be more easy to resolve conflict amongst the two of them. So I forget what Stacey tells Kay to ask her questions. Don't run with assumptions. So that way, you know, she can know instead of assuming what is going on. And then Kay I forgot what Kay asked her, but that's what Stacey wants, to just give me the benefit of the doubt. Which, again, is the mark of someone who is mature and intelligent. Exactly. If you are unsure about something, calmly ask to iron out any assumptions that may arise because you don't know. That's a smart thing to do. As I said, Kiana's not intelligent. She's used to dealing with a certain caliber of person. kind of gutter hood, hasn't graduated past that hood mentality, monetarily and business wise. She's where she needs to be. But here and here, she's got a lot of growing to do. So that's where they left. So then towards the end, you know, because Stacey's quick to catch it, they're good. And then Karen is like, okay, Detroit. And then Stacey's like, okay, Baltimore. See what I'm saying? So I don't know. Maybe Karen didn't mean to be shady like that, but that's what I'm saying. You guys are fresh. So if Stacey's coming back with the, oh, so you're trying to call me Detroit, let me call you Baltimore. That's what's gonna happen. But Stacey, let's give the girl a chance, okay? Sometimes you gotta give the slow ones a head start. All right, anyway, next scene. So now this scene irritated me. I'm gonna try to breeze through it. So we got, and I can't believe Wendy has now become a part of this. So we have Giselle, Ashley, and Wendy. You have Giselle show up first because she's always on time. Then you have Wendy come in afterwards. She looks cute. Then you have Ashley come in with TMI. They talking about menstrual cycles. Now, side note, even though it was TMI, I understood what she was saying. Because perimenopause, which Ashley is probably in that area of perimenopause, because you can experience perimenopause in your early 30s. It could start as early as that, your early 30s, all the way into your mid 40s, late 40s. So Ashley, I think, is like between the ages of 35 and 38. So when she was talking about her period coming sometimes twice a month, I was like, oh, I know what that is. That might be perimenopause, because I'm perimenopausal. But there's ways to get around that. You just take your herbs and your vitamins, and you drink all your water, and you eat your protein, and you exercise, and you can combat some of those symptoms. Let that be a little tip from me to you. So anyway, as they're sitting, Angel sends them all an invite to her home in Colorado. Because she has to move, so she figured, let me get my trip out of the way. So I guess it's her chance to host the trip. Man, Giselle ain't wasting no time painting this narrative. Yeah, I know she got evicted, right? And I'm like, oh my God. Then Wendy chiming in, well, you know, my real estate person, I have a friend that's a real estate broker or agent or whatever she said, or a realtor. And she told me some girl was asking for a home that looked like it was $50,000 a month, but they only want to pay $2,000 or $3,000 a month for it. And then they're commenting on how she's trying to scapegoat and be cheap. And I'm like, that's actually fucking pretty smart. Balling on a budget instead of trying to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, it's all for show anyway. So why would you blow your fucking money? If we gonna pretend, let's pretend logically. So I wasn't even mad at it. If that's what Angel did, I'm not even mad at that. That's actually smart. How do you think the rich stay rich? So Ashley had the nerve to say, is Angel broke? Girl, you just got this money. Your mama sleeps under the bridge or slept under the bridge. Don't act like you come from a silver spoon. No, you married well, worked your strategy, your plan really well, and that's how you came up on your money. So let's not act brand new. Talking about, is she struggling? But I know what they're doing. It's in the sake of a show, but to make a show. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so immature. Like, I know without a shadow of a doubt, if Karen were inserted anywhere on the show throughout this whole season, with a lot of the stuff that's been going on, she would have diffused a couple of these conflicts before they became the way that they are. Or she would have, shut the shit down before it could escalate. Or, inserted some words of wisdom that we love to hear. Because Karen's a grown woman. She does her thing. Some people don't like Karen. But overall, Karen's mature. And, she ain't always for the BS. And she will, I could already see a couple of times where she would have came in like, now, come on now. Y'all ain't being reasonable. Or, how do you know that for sure? Did you see anything? Like, that's how Karen is. So then, wanting us to send. Oh. Let me see. What's the Giselle's comment about Bobby? Tells them about her realtor friend. Oh. Yeah, Giselle says that she's not top tier wag. Taylor Swift is top tier wag. Oh, okay. Yeah, I said there's nothing wrong with wanting a discount. And then I forget, was it Giselle's comment about Bobby? Oh, next scene. Well, we'll get to that because she did say something about Bobby that I didn't like. Clever comeback, but I didn't like it. All right, so now we got this next party. Their Potomac and Ponies party. So that's what they were discussing the night before. Before I get into this scene to finish the rest of that other scene, they start talking about that party and like what they told people to bring. They said, Wendy says that she asked Stacy to bring the potato salad. I didn't like the way Wendy was presenting this because Wendy, you are supposed to be Stacy's ally, right? But the way you're coming off in this scene is if you are gossiping amongst the top-ranking officers to basically report back on your subordinate in a joking fashion. I don't like it. It's not truthful. It's not loyal. I can't stand people like that are passive-aggressive, and when it comes down to the person above them, they will throw the people below them under the bus to appease the person above them. That's what I saw in that exchange. And I was just like, Wendy, with the shit you got going on right now, you gonna need all the allies you can get. And then Ashley had the nerve to say, I hope no fruit or no raisins are gonna be in this potato salad. As if because you feel Stacy is whitewashed, she don't know how to cook. I thought that was rich coming from a girl that didn't even know what the Black National Anthem was. Anyway, so now the ponies and Potomac and Ponies party. So it's a Western theme party, which, you know, as black folks in our Western theme, the Where Them Fans At and, you know, Cowboy Carter, it's been pushing all of us to bring out our inner cowboy and cowgirl, huh? Anyway, so Wendy's family came in. Giselle's already there because Wendy and Giselle are planning this together. So Giselle shows up first. Wendy comes in second. Wendy's family looks so good. Wendy's, her chaps that she had on were like fur lined, and she had on all white. Her boys had on blue. I think Eddie had on blue. Or no, the boys had on white. Eddie had on blue. Cam had on blue and white, but they were all coordinated and they look good. I just wanted to point that out. They always look cute too, because I follow Wendy on Instagram, and when they all dress up, they look really good, very coordinated and put together. All right, so then Ashley comes in with her boys, and she brings catfish. Forgot to mention Wendy brings Popeye's chicken as a main meat. Ashley brought catfish. Before I make this next statement, I'm just going to say Ashley boys are actually cute. I hear a lot of banter about them not looking the best, but Dean is actually a cute boy. If you really look at him, he does look like his father, but Ashley brought that cute out. Like she infused a little bit of her genes into Dean, so he's actually an attractive young boy. Dylan, he wasn't really like looking into the camera, and you really couldn't see him, and by the time they did show his face, he had face paint on him. But he's not a bad looking kid either. He looks more like Ashley than he does his dad, so I just wanted to say that because people always talk. This one YouTuber I follow that calls Dean Pennywise. No, like, no. I could not see it, but he's not an ugly kid. He's a cute kid. So with Ashley bringing in the catfish, we all know what that is in reference to. Now, if Angel acted a certain way, she could turn this into something. Like if she just, and I think that's what they're wanting to get from her. And I'm not trying to make excuses for how they're messing with her, but I think that's what they're wanting to get from her, is to see how you gel in this group. Can you take a joke, or can you, you know, are you a stick in the mud? And in a friend setting, there are some friendships that do stupid stuff like that. But this is like a reality TV friendship, so things shouldn't be taken so personal. However, Angel is still getting to know the women, so I can understand why she doesn't trust them. But so Ashley's telling them that the catfish is the central thing. That's why she brought it. Let me see. Oh, so then all the women show up, and then once Kay shows up, Angel still hasn't gotten there. Kay, you know, because everybody's asking for Angel. I've never seen people so anxious to get their target there so they can, like, you know, make an ass out of her, right? They want the scene to keep going. Anyway, so Kiarna, she calls Angel, and she's like asking where she is. And Angel says, we're far. They keep asking. Bobby, her husband, says, we'll get there when we get there. And the women are kind of like, But you're right. She just told your ass. Why y'all asking again? Bobby's probably frustrated. He just had to pack up that house. He's probably looking at y'all like, whatever. And I'm going to say something about that later. Why would the women want to bring their husbands around this shit? So let's get to that. Stacy comes in with her family, Timo, Arabella, and of course they make it a big thing because Timo has been MIA and they want to make Stacy out to be this liar that doesn't have a relationship with her former husband. Nah, they show up, hand in hand, and it still ain't good enough. So you got Giselle over here talking about he looks like somebody I would have thought his name was Timo. He looks like a Timo. Ashley blatantly comes over, oh, live and in the flesh. Basically, oh, you do exist. The way these women were acting, Ashley and Giselle, regarding Timo, and then the comment they made about Bobby because Bobby said we'll get there when we get there. Giselle said in her confessional, she said, oh, well, if you're going to be like that, you're already 2 hours late. You can just turn back around and go home. Oh, I forgot you don't have one. That was kind of funny, Giselle. I can't even lie. But still, cruel. And then Ashley has to do the ultra Karen and say, that Bobby, oh, he must have a temper on him. I know the fuck you ain't talking. Did you not forget how Michael acted at Robin and Juan's Christmas party? When he was getting up in Chris's face? And how you had to tell him to calm down and how embarrassed you were? That's what I'm saying. How soon we forget. No. How you gonna sit here and say he got a temper when he didn't yell? He hasn't shown you that he has a temper. He just quipped back to you guys when y'all were questioning his wife and you didn't like it. So that's the type of stuff that men that get wind of this show, if they don't watch it with their wives, they don't want to be subjected to that type of shit. They find that to be petty. Men, they don't, if they're in conflict, if they don't have the EQ, men like to meet that shit with aggression. So if a man knows that about himself, he's not going to want to be around mess. Bravo, y'all may want to talk to the women on this show and have them change. It's like, I wouldn't feel comfortable if my man come around, he gonna be critiqued for this, he gonna be critiqued for that. I gotta answer for this, we gotta answer for that. Why? Why can't it just be a simple, my man is coming? It's mainly this show. You don't see a lot of that with Beverly Hills, Orange County, the white shows a lot. But Potomac, that is a central theme. It's bash the men. Is it because it's a black show and you trying to make it seem like black relationships can't exist or black women don't choose right? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I get real offended by that. I don't like it. But let me get off my soapbox on that. Anyway, so when Stacy walked in with Timo, she says in the confessional the only reason why she is there with Timo is because of her relationship with Wendy. Didn't quite get that. Tried to make sense of it. I was like, the only thing I could think of is because Wendy's throwing the party with Giselle and Wendy felt slighted that you didn't bring Timo to dinner. This is your way of showing Wendy, okay, I trust you. Let me bring my man. Because Wendy wasn't talking shit about Timo. She's just like, oh, you showed up. He's here. It is what it is. She showed the respect. And then I forgot to mention in the confessional when it came to Bobby, Kay is defending Angel and Bobby, talking about what they've been dealing with. And I'm like, I wish you would have said that live and in the scene to set them straight, but they're not going to do that with, the powers that be. That's why I was like, this is just getting on my nerves. So anyway, yeah. Giselle critiquing him, yeah. Ashley in confessional critiquing him, yeah, okay, yeah. So then Stacy jokes because they're asking about the potato salad. She brought it in. She says in a joking way, she says, I'm a great cook. And then they flash back, because Stacy's just making fun of herself. They flash back to a scene of her making peach cobbler in her house. I was like, I looked at her peach cobbler because I like a lot of dough. But I make a peach crisp. Sometimes I make peach cobbler because I'll add oatmeal to it, and then I'll do layers of the pie crust. And I like the croissant type pie crust. So sometimes mine looks puffy Tia's. I'm sorry, not Tia. Mine looks puffy like Stacy's peach cobbler sometimes, depending on how I make it. But hers looked like it was just straight cornbread. And her friend AJ's in the scene with her. He's like, girl, this ain't no peach cobbler. So yeah, Stacy's making fun. But that potato salad did look good. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, all right, you know. All right, so Angel shows up with her family, last family standing. As she shows up, right, Wendy is making announcements, congratulating the people, giving, compliments to the people that provided the food. So she said we had Giselle on desserts. And then she said she brought the Popeyes. I think she said she brought the Popeyes. But then now she starts talking about Ashley with the catfish. Then she emphasized and said it again in case we didn't hear her. The catfish, to get Angel's attention. Angel is not amused. She doesn't like it. Doesn't respond to it in the scene, but in the confessional, yeah, of course she's a confessional gangster. There's a lot of confessional gangsters, but it's like, nah, Angel, you gotta set these chicks straight. Anyway, so then we got Cam and Arabella, Wendy's daughter and Stacy's daughter, talking. Cam's telling Arabella's like, don't you have 3 cell phones? And her parents are standing there, and they look concerned, but like, girl, I don't want you thinking this is the way life is. And then Arabella, because they're little girls putting each other up on game. My mom does this. My dad does this. And Cam's like, well, my dad's going to get me another phone. So I can have 4 phones. And again, with everything that's going on in the background, it's like, y'all just wasteful for money. Why does this little girl need 4 phones? What is she running a Fortune 500 out of her bedroom? Managing the toys, managing the books, managing her wardrobe, managing her cleaning chores. Like, what is she doing? Why does she need 4 phones? I don't get it. Anyway, so Ashley brings up Angel moving. Credits are starting to roll in. They start asking questions about it, trying to get to the bottom of it. Of course, Angel is not clearing her, her description. And I get it. She's probably put off, but at this point, no. Nothing should surprise you. The name of the game is conflict and resolution, and they're going to pull shit out of their ass. So you just have to respond in the moment, and not be so caught off guard. Be on your game. You should be used to this by now. So the answer she's given makes it seem like she's lying, which she kind of did when she tried to throw it on the owner. But then Ashley's like, so the dates, questioning this woman's mental as a mother. She's like, I would think as a mother, you would be more organized, more or less. I'm paraphrasing. But that's what Ashley was getting to. Questioning this lady because the dates, that whole explanation just didn't make sense for Ashley. And so Angel's like, wow, another. And then Wendy just flat out says, well, I'm just going to say it. The people saying you was evicted. I ain't about to sugarcoat and dance around. The people saying you was evicted. And the Angel's looking like, and then this the end of the scene. That's what I'm saying. It was just, oh my God, y'all. I was annoyed. I'm like, hurry up. Because now that Beverly Hills is here, I have a Housewives show that's not as ridiculous as this. So I'm starting to lose my patience and even interest. But in the spirit of continuity, I want to keep my playlist consistent. That's why I'm doing this recap. But yeah, if I was going to rate this, I would rate it a 6. That's how much it annoyed me and got on my nerves. Interesting, though, they did show a scene for next week's episode, a little preview. One thing I'm interested in is Tia meeting with her half-sibling. Because as Tia was talking about her siblings earlier in the episode, and I forgot to say this in my recap, her dad fathered 2 children on her mother while they were married. So Tia has half siblings that were produced throughout her parents' marriage. Oh, I want to hear about that. I want to hear about that because they showed a scene of her sitting down with someone who I'm going to assume is a half sister. But yeah, that was it. I'm out of here. I got my dinner. I'm hungry, so I'm going to end it here. But I hope you enjoyed this recap. Let me know what you thought, what your thoughts were. Please engage. I like to engage back, and I appreciate your love and support, okay? All right. Peace and blessings to you. I will be catching you next week for episode 12. And you have a blessed rest of your evening. Bye now.